Hi, my name's Jack Hodgins. Welcome back to my channel. Been a while since I've been playing with my Hexacopter because obviously lots of things have been coming up on the channel, getting very busy. New website being designed at the moment. I had the t-shirts all printed, so lots of things going on. So t-shirts still available, so I'm doing lots and lots of t-shirt designs now, so I'm quite busy on that side. But now it's time to get this, which is my Hexacopter, completely finished. So I'm not sure exactly where I got with this. I think I've literally did some videos and now I've completely forgot where I am with it all. So I'm going to actually just do all this from scratch, not scratch, but to take it from where I got. So far I think I've got all the ESCs, they're all cable tied to the frame now, and all I've got to do is now solder the motors to the ESCs. One of the motors I've cut the cables a bit too short, so I'm going to have to sort of make a bit of extra cable up to get that sorted out, which I'll do in this. We'll do once they're actually been soldered, I can flip this upside down, and then we can start fitting and installing the new NASA speed controller, the flight controller I should say. This is a DJI one, so I wanted to stick with DJI, known quite familiar quite well, and maybe in the next Hexacopter build we'll try a different flight controller. But yeah, this is the NASA V2, that's what's going to be installed. So I've got all that with all the GPS, and I've got the remote control receiver, which is again DJI, with the new remote, which is what's going to be controlling it as well. So we'll get all that fitted on. So that's what our next job's going to be. So on this video I'm going to literally now get these soldered on, and then we'll start fitting the flight controller for you, and then a bit later on we'll do some test flying. So let's get on with soldering. This is my new soldering iron I purchased because the other one I had, which was plug in the wall, it didn't work properly in its solder. So I treated myself to one of these sort of gas powered soldering iron. So there's a soldering iron, it's like a pen, quite nice it is, and I'll make sure I've got gas in there. Yeah, plenty of gas in there. So that's the pen, comes with solder and different end pieces that we need. So we need the end for soldering with to solder the cables, and then we've got the little blowtorch there that then shrink down the heat sinks, or heat shrink wraps on the cables itself anyway. So I'm going to get this all fired up and we'll get soldering. So I'm going to do a sort of time lapse on this because obviously you don't want to watch every single solder I do, and I might do a quick close-up of soldering the joints to show how good my soldering is, which is not brilliant. So well, let's get on with soldering. As you can see so far, I've got those soldered together. I've just got to put the heat sinks over and get them melted down basically. And I've done this one as well here. So it's two so far done. Not bad for my first sort of soldering attempt. Gas has run out, so I'm just going to get on with getting the rest of these done. So get all these done as well. So once they're done, we can then start looking at installing the flight controller. So I'm going to get on with getting these finished, and go from there. And we'll do yeah, almost there. So just get these bits down. That's the ESC soldered to the motors. Then we can get installing the flight controller. So it's not a bad solder. I'm not a fantastic solder, but I think the more practice I get in this, the better I get with it anyway. But happy so far with that. Hopefully that will actually work when we fire it up. Right, let me get on with the rest of it. Thought it was easier to take the legs off to work on this. So I've run out of gas at the moment, so I'm going to re-solder them a little bit later. So what I'll do is get the flight controller installed, but I want to work on this a bit more easier. So getting this flattened down, because other legs in the way, it's quite hard to keep rotating around and stuff. So I thought take legs off, take the battery holder off, and we can work on controller and stuff. So to get a bit more to this cable tied up. So we've got the two already done. So once I get a bit more gas, I can then shrink wrap them properly on there, and then they're done. Then we can then cable tie them down nice and neatly, and that's 2 motors done. So while we're waiting, we'll work out where the flight controller goes on here. So we'll get the cables all right, one for each. There we go. So, and I've got to remember, I've got to also make sure which one's front or back. So where do I put the faceplate on that one? I had some lots of parts. Where is it? Hexacopter Build. There we go. I have a little plastic containers that contains all my build parts and stuff, which is useful. So I've got a little container like this, which has then Hexacopter Build on here. So I know what I'm doing. So clear some space out the way with. This is the top plate, and the top plate which tells me it's an S550 and which direction it's going to go on, so I can have like front or back, whatever direction I want. Let me just check, make sure there's nothing else underneath that's points, which should be back or front. So where's the battery, positive, negative? There you go. It doesn't really matter which way you have front or back, as long as you put the plate. So with the plate facing that direction, we'll use that as the front basically, and this is the back. Yeah, because I'll put this more wide at the front for the gimbal to stand out. So that's the front. So that's the arrow pointing. And get the DJI flight controller out. We can make sure we install this correctly, because on here it should be marked to say which is front, which is one back. So on the bottom of the flight controller, it has this very tiny arrow in the middle there, which points the direction of which should be facing front. So that arrow is actually pointing that direction, which is the right direction for us to install this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down so it fits neatly on top, and then this will then fit there nicely like that. So that's the way the nozzle will fit on the bottom there, then all the cables will cable to it. So I will get some double-sided tape on that, which I have somewhere here. Here we go. Got some nice double-sided tape. So work out what we're going to do. This stuff sticks like anything, so I'm not going to literally do a big bit on the bottom of the controller, but just enough to hold it in there. Because if I put too much on there, this really sticks hard. I mean, I've had plasters coming off the wall when I stuck this down. So it's enough so that I can actually remove this later. So if I need to upgrade the flight controller, or something goes wrong with this one, I need to put a new one in there, then it's easy to remove and add another one in afterwards. So put that in place. So take the bottom bit off. Like so. So make sure we got it in exactly the same place. I'll put the top bit on top to make sure it's in. So I want it nicely lining up basically. So it's all on there, yeah. And then we'll drop that in without sticking ourselves to it. Make sure the arrow's pointing the right way, which it is that way. Just make sure, yep. And then like so. So now it's now stuck nicely where it should be. There you go. So it's that's how strong it is, nice and strong. It's actually let me lift it up. So that's the flight controller installed. So I need to work out, because these cables are really long, and I was wondering whether I can actually somehow get these shrunk down without actually having too much cable mess. But I suppose in a way we could probably do something like this, maybe. So it's nice and tidy on each one. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 we can do, because the battery we're going to connect to the back here. That's where the battery tray will be. So I'm going to get all this tidied up, get them plugged into the right direction and stuff. So I'm not sure which direction the motors will go, so something I need to learn. We also got to fit at some point as well. I bought some battery cable. So we've got red and black, positive and negative. I mean, I brought loads of it, but I don't need all this. So we'll cut that to size. that will go on the back like so, and then that'll cut to size, and then we'll put a battery connector on the end of that. So that's going to be done at some point. And we also got these boys. These are my motorized landing gear. So these will be swapped for these. So these are ones that don't fold up, and these ones that do fold up. Okay, so we'll swap them over. We'll get these installed, and then when it's all the flight controls installed, we'll then be able to tie that to a channel that will operate the legs. Because also when we're flying around, we don't want the gimbal to be, or we don't want the legs in the way of the gimbal basically. So I thought I'd make it nice. So I've got these to install. I also got like a dampering type thing for GoPro. We can probably stick it on there for the moment until we actually decide what gimbal system we're going to go put on it. So at least we can get test flying with it as well. So them little bits. I've got a nice blue antenna air to go on. So this is going to fit on top. I suppose we can put that in place as well. That'll go on top like that. So I suppose in a way it can be screwed. That's in there. So they don't really leave a lot of room for screwing these down, as you sort of screw it onto the leg screws like so. But we'll work out where we're going to do that, because it's also a fold down one, so it can fold down out the way with, or how we're going to put it basically, like so. It can fold down nice and blue, like that colour, screws down and it's upright for you. So I'll work out where I'm going to position the bit, because again, on top of the plate don't really give you a lot of room unless you're making holes, because it's got holes here and here. These holes are for the legs to go on, but there's no other holes for an actual one of these to go. So I just don't know whether these are actually screwed in, or we'll have to make holes and get them screwed in like that, or whether I can just literally use some sort of adhesive pad to stick it on. I mean, this is long enough to fit, if we do it at an angle, those two screws, so that could be screwed down with the leg side as well, and that'd be quite folded that way with, but we don't have much choice sort of where that will go, but we'll suss that out anyway. So I think that's all the bits I've got so far. I've also brought the FPV, so we can get some video coming back from this as well for the moment, so then we can decide a bit later on what sort of video we're going to put on it and stuff. So that was that little box for FPV. Got FPV goggles as well, or we can actually get I might actually invest in an FPV monitor so we can actually get the feedback and watch what we're doing as well. That'd be interesting. So that's that to be fitted too. So we've got quite a bit, and I think we also work out as well where we're going to install this. This is the DJI remote control receiver, which is going to that way, which is for the remote. So it's quite nice. It's really thin, and again, this is can be stuck on an adhesive pad. I think that's got to be quite close, because that's the cable, so there's not a lot of room. So we don't know where to mount that underneath somewhere. We can probably put it right underneath here, right the way with, and trowel the ends of these down the two poles here, so there's a nice clear underneath for the radio transmitter, and that fit nice and snug underneath. I think there's enough to hook it up through the little hole here, and then into the controller bit. So that might be worth where we'll do that. Might be ideal. So if we turn upside down, quite a big beast this is. I want to keep everything nice and tidy, so we actually installed that underneath, so that will fit quite nicely like there, and that goes nice and tucked at the back there, because the gimbal will go at the front. No, sorry, the battery tray gimbal at the front here, battery tray at the back. I think I've got the right way around. This is slides backwards and forwards anyway, so we can adjust that to where we're going to position it. Then that, because that's under the belly, then it's got a nice clear run, and away from everything else as well, I suppose. So I might actually do that, put that there. So with that reach, we'll have a look. So yes, that'll reach nicely, because this will go into one of the slots. We'll work out which slots it goes in to work out whether it's come through this way. So we'll get the instruction booklet out for that, and we'll just, yeah, so that at least that's cable long enough for that to go under there. So that's where we'll put the transmitter, nice and neat like that. So get all our positions. So transmitter, and then we've got to install the NASA expansion hub thing here. So again, that's got to be near the battery and also plug into the other bit. So again, that may be, no, that might have to come up with see that don't go through there, so it's gonna have to, so I was gonna think we could have fit that near, or we can probably, that's the legs in the way there, this probably have to go on top. We have it nice and tidy. I mean, it could go in here, so that fits nice. That will connect around there. It's all to do with the cabling though, keeping the cabling all short and tight. So we'll probably actually install that inside here. So once we've got the legs on, we've got to be careful not to install it over the screw holes, because we need to access the legs and stuff. And again, because you can add expansion on here with the socket here, because that comes with another great big bloody plug like that to go on. So maybe we'll keep that free, because if we do decide we want to add in extra bits to this, then we need to make sure this port stays free. So maybe that might go maybe at an angle here or something like that, away from the screw holes, like so, maybe, so that can be gain access to. Or we can actually probably install that on top. I'm trying to keep the top free of stuff, keep it all nice and snug inside, so it keeps it really tidy. So yeah, well, I think we'll have that installed. The leg screws in there, so it's still got space. So yeah, well, we'll mount that there, like next to it, like that, so, and then we can get all this cable tidied up and stuff, nice and neat. I might look at getting some of that braided cable that you can put all this inside. It's braided nicely, so it hides all this cable, so it looks like it's just one long cable maybe. So keep this, that's the one thing I like, to keep it nice and tidy. I don't like these hexacopters that got the cables all hanging out and it looks a complete mess, especially when they fly with it. It looks a complete mess. So they're the bits we need to install in, so we'll probably do that. I'm going to work out what to do with these, where they'll go first, how I can get these trimmed so they'll fit nicely, maybe something like that, join in, so there's not so much overhang on all this cable stuff here. And I think the legs are hollow, because I wonder if oh no, because I'm going to use these ones on here, so there's no hollow bits, because on here you could actually hide some of the cabling work down there, some of the excess cabling down here, because we're using the motor ones. They don't have that hole at the bottom there to do it with, so that's a weird idea out the window. But no, so I'm gonna get all this sussed out, put on this high speed, because we know we're going to fit stuff, and we'll get that installed next. Remember guys, because this is a fun build, so you guys out there, please don't comment, because I'm not an expert on this. This is all me getting to new things. I'm just literally going through what I'm learning as I grab it and teach you guys firsthand of what I'm learning as I go along, so you can learn by my mistakes, so I can sort of avoid you. So if this is the first time building something and using my videos, don't take it as I'm an expert on this. I'm literally learning as I go, which is all fun. This is a fun project. It's all about fun learning. I learn from you guys, because you guys comment quite a bit on stuff, so don't crucify me if I do things wrong. Just advise me, and I'm happy to learn from you guys, because I like to do more and more builds, get a bit more advanced, learn more about this. So just wanted to make the comment to you guys, so before you start commenting and saying, oh, you don't look very professional. I'm not meant to be professional. This is meant to be a fun channel to learn, show, have some fun, show my experiences with quads and things like that. So what I've learned so far, I've done a bit of reading on the instructions, because remember, I'm teaching you all the right ways of doing it. So remember, take the manuals, read them, learn them, and discover and get to know your kit as much as possible. So what I found out, because see, a lot on the internet don't tell you which direction motors spin or what one's what and stuff. So on this Hexacopter Build, because we're using the NASA 2 flight controller, this is how it's done on here. Right, so this is my front end here. Okay, I can remember that, because obviously on the NASA it's pointing direction. That's really important. So make sure this is pointing in the right direction forward, or you're going to get problems. And basically I need to remember which motor is meant to be which, because obviously they're important when they connect into the flight controller. So so I don't forget. I mean, my memory can be quite bad sometimes, and depends, because I'm doing lots of different stuff. I might come back. Maybe I'll do this build once and be about 4 months before I come back and do another build. So I won't remember all these. But as I go on, I will pick it up. So need to label these correctly. So that's M1 for motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, motor 4, motor 5, and motor 6. And on the DJI's website for the manual for this, it will show you the configuration of your multi-rotor, or what you're basically building. So you can have these arms in different positions. So you have to make sure on the manual which one looks like your rotary, so 2, 2, and 2. Then it tells you which motor is meant to be which what. So on my configuration, I've got 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and 2 at the sides. This means that motor there is motor 1. So I don't forget, and I don't get confused, I'm actually going to label this on the arm M1. And then M2. I'm going to do all this all the way around, so I don't forget which one's which. So if I do end up replacing the controller, I'll get stuck, and at least I know which motors is which. Okay. So, and then M3, and I'll do this all the way around, because this comes important in a sec, which I'll show you in a sec. I'll do as quick as I can. And it's good to label up, because then they at least don't have to think too hard and remember what was that, you know, it's all there. Especially out in the field making changes and stuff. The last thing you want to do is remember where these things. So M1, M2, M3, M4, M5 now, and then we've got M6. Almost there. Good to have a little labelling gun. So that's what I use. I've got a labelling gun for this lot. It's only a cheap one anyway. So where's it gone? It's this one here. Nice little cheap labelling machine. Comes in handy. I use it for everything. Especially when doing builds like this, it's great. So there you go. So we've got all that in place. So they're the motors. Okay, so they're important. So, have it that way around. I'll keep throwing it everywhere. Because on the flight control here, you have labels here, which goes from M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, and M6. If you've got 8 motors on it, then these extra 2 at the side there for the extra 2 motors. Because I've got 6, I only need to know these. So in theory, M1 will go into M1, M2 into M2, which is really important. So that cable, that gives me an idea on the length of the cable now, because it obviously goes right there. So I've got tons of this. So what I might do is get all these plugged in, and then look at stripping these cables back or something like that, because you do get the cables. They do bundle in cables for you, which are a little bit shorter ones, like so. But I'm not going to strip all this apart trying to get these connected up to it, because it's just a bit horrendous. But it would be really nice if I could just strip them down and maybe connect that on the end there. But obviously in this case, that's just going to be fiddly work. That would be ideal. An ideal scenario, I would like to get them cabled exactly to there with less excessive cable on it. But what we'll do is we'll probably bring these around, and then we'll cable tie them afterwards to work out how much room it's going to give, because each one's going to be a different length to each other. But yeah, so that's important. So M1 to M1, M2 to M2, M3 to M3, M4 to M4, M5 to M5, and M6 to M6, which is important. So yeah, so I'm going to get all them in place, and we'll cable tie them down. So far, so good. So that's them all plugged in. So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to double check, because on the back of here, the manual doesn't tell you which cable goes up, because obviously you've got black, red, and white. I've got red in the middle, because the only thing I can see on the cables that come with it, because they have special grooves to slide in, there's a little special groove there for it to slide in nicely, which is obviously DJI's own thing. And I take the red is always, it looks like the middle cable, but I'm going to check, because I'm not sure whether I got the other bits in the right way round. So I'm going to check that anyway. So it's always worth checking, but for the moment it's all in. This sort of gives you an idea like how the cables are all sort of hanging out. So what I might do is I'll get all the other bits in there, then look at the cabling together rather than try and sort of cable as I go. Otherwise it's going to look absolutely a mess. So far we've got the flight controller in there with the cables. So I'm going to get on with looking at the mounting the receiver next, which I think I'm going to put underneath basically. I've seen these mounted on the side of the arm like this, but because the arms are quite thin, that looks quite, well, it looks awkward being there. I want it tidy, so I think what I'm going to do is mount this underneath so that when you are flying, your radio's always, you can feel you're underneath all the time, so it give it a nice space of signal anyway. So I'm going to check, make sure I've got the cabling right on that side. I'm just going to quickly have a check with the cabling this bit, then we know what we're going to be doing next and get that installed.